The wheel weaves as the wheel wills, which is fantasy speak for this franchise is cursed. So, Amazon canceled the Wheel of Time, which is hilarious because they acquired the rights, poured millions of dollars into it, and then handed the reins to a showrunner that I frankly wouldn't trust to direct a cereal commercial, let alone one of the biggest fantasy IPs of all time. Let's be honest, this show was never going to work. Not just because adapting 14 brick-like books into a TV show is a monumental task, but because Amazon took The Wheel of Time, a complex epic with layered characters, gender dynamics, and philosophical nuance, and turned it into Gen Z Hogwarts meets LinkedIn feminism. So let's talk about it. If you're unfamiliar, The Wheel of Time is one of the biggest fantasy series ever written. 14 books, dozens of major characters, thousands of pages of people glaring at each other while monologuing about fate. And central to it, 3 farm boys, Rand, Matt, and Perrin, who slowly evolve from confused sheep herders into world-saving trauma muffins. Rand becomes the Dragon Reborn, the literal chosen one. Matt becomes a rogue general who makes luck itself bend to his will. And Perrin? He's a wolf boy, a hammer man, the brooding heart of the trio. The show took one look at them and said, nah, make them side characters in their own story. Meanwhile, every female character gets juiced up with extra screen time, extra power, and extra smug exposition monologues. Because why have balance when you can have girl bosses with spaghetti magic? Let's start with Rand al'Thor. Book Rand is a slow burn descent into Messiah madness. The Chosen One, reluctantly forced to carry the weight of the world. Show Rand? Barely there. Season 1 hides the fact he's the main character for half the runtime. Because heaven forbid we center a man in a story that literally hinges on the rebirth of a male hero in a world where only women can use magic. By the time he does get attention, he's emotionally neutered, confused, and somehow has less presence than anyone else on screen. Matt Cawthon, fan favorite. In the books, he's clever, roguish, and grows into a brilliant tactician with a dark past and a golden heart. In the show, he's introduced as a broke kleptomaniac with deadbeat energy and mysterious moral decay. And then they recast him between seasons like he's a background extra. Character arc? More like character erasure. And Perrin? Oh boy. Book Perrin is stoic, loyal, and grappling with the beast inside. Show Perrin is different. He's a man who accidentally kills his wife in the first 5 minutes, because apparently that's how you add depth now. He spends the next 2 seasons looking confused, weak, and dominated by whichever female character happens to be nearby. These guys were once archetypes of masculine growth, flawed but evolving. Now, they're props. Emotionally neutered sock puppets who exist to react to whatever the strong women do or say. Okay, let's make one thing clear. The books already had powerful women. Moiraine, Egwene, Nynaeve, Aviendha, Cadsuane. Jordan wasn't short on female agency. But the show turned every woman into the exact same person. Unquestionable, arrogant, empowered by the plot, immune to criticism. Egwene in the books is bright, ambitious, and grows into one of the greatest leaders in the series. In the show, she's all ego and instant mastery. No growth. Just, I am powerful because... shut up. Nynaeve, the hot-tempered healer, is reduced to a ball of rage and trauma until the plot says, okay, now you're useful. And Moiraine, the Gandalf of the series, she gets sidelined in Season 2, stripped of her powers, and spends her time moping in a lake house while other characters carry the show. Why? Because in Amazon's adaptation, power is only interesting if it's immediate. Characters don't earn it, they arrive with it. Subtlety, gone. Growth, optional. Flaws, replaced with moral righteousness and Instagram filter energy. They didn't just elevate the women, they flattened them. No contrast, no arc, just back-to-back boss queens with Pinterest quotes for personalities. Okay, so before we keep dragging this show through the mud like it's an Amazon Prime exclusive, let's do a very scientific breakdown of what the Wheel of Time is actually about. The wheel weaves as the wheel wills. Translation: destiny is just a big cosmic rerun. The whole world runs on a literal spinning wheel of time, which turns through 7 ages, like a fantasy Netflix playlist. People get reincarnated over and over again. History repeats itself, and no one learns anything ever. So basically the internet, but with swords. Now, in this world, magic exists. It's called the One Power, and it's split by gender. Women can use it safely. Men used to use it, until one day the big bad Dark One did a drive-by corruption and made male magic users go clinically insane. Think wizard schizophrenia, but nuclear. Now, if a guy uses the One Power, he loses his mind and turns into a magical war crime machine. Enter the Dragon. He's a legendary hero / reincarnation time bomb who's destined to either save the world or break it in half again. A real flip of the coin, but that's what makes him interesting. The books start in a tiny village with 5 teens who are just trying to mind their business, when a mysterious lady wizard, Moiraine, shows up like Gandalf if he had better cheekbones and less chill. She's like, "Hey kids, one of you might be Jesus. Also, the literal embodiment of destiny. No pressure." So, they run off on a cross-country fantasy road trip featuring shadow monsters, ancient prophecies, magical nuns with braid-pulling addictions, politics, war, and more lore than the Silmarillion on steroids. Eventually, we find out that the dragon reborn is Rand, the tall redhead with anxiety and glowing magic rage. The rest of the series is him running from prophecy, going slowly insane, fighting literal gods, juggling 3 girlfriends, and trying not to commit planetary homicide. Meanwhile, his best friends also level up. Matt becomes fantasy Indiana Jones but with cursed dice. Perrin becomes a wolf-communing emo blacksmith with a hammer the size of a dinner table. Egwene and Nynaeve become magical juggernauts and political bosses, and every other character either dies, ascends, or disappears for 600 pages and comes back with a crown. The whole thing culminates in the last battle, where good and evil fight it out in a timeline-bending cosmic battle royale. TLDR. It's like if Lord of the Rings, Dune, and a philosophy major's fever dream had a baby, and then gave that baby 4,000 characters and told it to fight fate using only vibes and reincarnation trauma. And somehow, Amazon turned that into Riverdale, but with cloaks. Let's be real. The Amazon show wasn't just a bad adaptation. It was an ideological adaptation. Amazon wanted a Game of Thrones style hit, but sanitized for corporate HR. They wanted to update the story, make it modern, which, in the year of our Lord 2023, apparently means downplaying men, overcompensating with women, turning mystical world-building into YA empowerment metaphors, and treating emotional complexity like a liability. This isn't a knock on diversity or inclusion. The books were already ahead of their time in that department. But what Wheel of Time gave us wasn't diversity. It was branding. A feminist fantasy that feared male characters and had no idea what to do with actual conflict between the sexes. Even if you ignored the character problems, the show still struggled. The world building was half-baked, the pacing was chaotic, and the effects? Season 1 looked like somebody modded Skyrim and then committed it to film. Nothing felt real. Towns were empty, sets looked fake. The One Power looked like magical spaghetti strings from a Harry Potter mobile game. The tone swung wildly. Is this Lord of the Rings, or is it Riverdale? Why is there slow motion whispering again? Season 2 was an improvement. Some decent arcs, some actual stakes. But the damage was done. You only get one first impression, and they spent it speed-running the source material and gender-swapping the narrative balance. So yeah, the Wheel of Time show was doomed from the start. Not because the books were unadaptable, but because Amazon didn't want the story that was written. They wanted something else. Corporate fantasy. Safe, sanitized, progressive in the shallowest way. Where men are sidelined, women are flawless, and nuance is burned at the stake. In the books, the wheel weaves as the wheel wills. But on Amazon, the wheel spins once, decides it's too problematic, and then gets rebooted as a TikTok series. Rest in peace, Rand al'Thor. You deserved better. But at least your soul gets reincarnated. Maybe next time they'll let you be the hero in your own story.